The following podcast is brought to you by the Johners Podcasting Network, found exclusively at WrestlingWithJohners.com.
Man alive, if you could hear the things we talk about before we hit the record button. But ladies and gentlemen, we are back with another episode of Shootin' Shit. And as always, I'm joined by my host, the Premier Joey K, and the hot one, Jay Minacho. And I'm the 5-star trivia machine, DDJ. And things are going to be a little bit different today than what we normally do. And we'll get into that here right after we roll our intro video. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Shootin' Shit. I just gotta have a reason to play the beep every once in a while. So,
what is wrong with you, dude?
I start piling on the investment money.
all right, we are back with another episode of Shootin' Shit, and as alluded to in our little intro here, it's gonna be a little bit of a different type of show today. Normally we come on, we do have about 5, 6, 7 topics that we shoot on, but today we're not gonna have any designated topics. We're taking the format sheet and we're throwing it out. We're straying from the formula. It's gonna just be a free for all today and stuff, and just there's a lot to talk about. And before we get into it, gentlemen, how are we doing this evening?
Well, DDJ, we're having a great evening here at Casa de Premier. Ready for a hot new episode, ready to shoot some shit with the boys. It's going to be a fantastic and bumpy ride tonight.
Yep.
I'm expecting train wreck meets car wreck meets just what are we thinking tonight? We're flushing the format. We're just going to have fun. We're just going to shoot it straight. Let's go.
Before we do that, is this going to be like Goldberg versus Undertaker from Saudi Arabia bad?
No.
This is going to be DX versus Brothers of Destruction, Australia bad.
Oh.
Oh man! Well, if
we didn't lose you yet,
hopefully we haven't scared away our our dozens.
And dozens.
That was okay. It could be a little better. We'll try that again of shooters and stuff. But guys, let's just get right into it. So the big headline of the week was the mass layoffs that plagued WWE, and I believe this is the third wave of releases this year that they've done, and it's never an easy time. You feel for the people, especially in the offices that lost their jobs and everything, and the talent and just and all that and stuff. But I guess the first question I just want to throw out there is which of the releases this week was the most shocking? And Joey K, let's start with you.
At this point, after this many releases, is anything shocking? I mean, I would say this. There's probably only about 5 to 10 men and women on the entire roster across the whole company that would be safe from getting cut at this point. I mean, and trust me, I use this term safe very loosely. It's, so the last round when I saw Bray Wyatt, when I saw, and was it prior to that, Braun Strowman, those are a couple names that were surprising. But after that, like all bets were off. It's like more so than surprising. What surprises me is two things. Number one, it's budget cuts again.
Yep.
Get the hell out of here, dude. Didn't they just post a $280 million quarter? Like
for the third quarter or something like that.
Get the hell out of here. It's not budget cuts. They're streamlining for a reason. They hit the panic button because of their deals between Universal, NBC, whatever they want to call it, and Fox. The Peacock network is shit. Let's be real. Let's call it what it is. It is. It's a freebie on my TV. So I wouldn't pay for it. I think the service overall sucks, but whatever. It's more shocking to me that the days after releases, you see the stories of, oh, well, Keith Lee had a lot of backstage heat. Karrion Kross had a lot of backstage heat. That's all bullshit. I'm calling it right now. That's all bullshit. You want to know why they had heat? Because they got repackaged and just jobbed out on the main roster after being built up as stars in NXT, and they don't have the first clue what to do with them on the main roster. And now all of a sudden you want to come out, oh, so and so was hard to work with. They had heat, blah blah blah. Get the hell out of here, dude. I don't even want to hear that. That's just absolute garbage at this point. That's more surprising to me that people are still digging into that and still buying into this. Oh, well, they were a tough talent to work with and they had heat, so they might not get signed anywhere. No, they'll get signed. Trust me. They'll go somewhere. Or you know what? I've seen a lot of popular talent out there. They don't want to sign exclusive. Show up at, NWA, show up at New Japan, show up at Impact and work around, like a pay for the day type deal. Like, do it. You have these spot shows, spot deals that you just go in and you work a couple dates or like 1 or 2 dates, whatever. You're there for a name recognition and they get paid for it. Some talent wants to do that, especially after just coming out of the WWE system where it's like the rest of the world doesn't exist anymore. You're not allowed to call out your friends on Twitter that are at another company because they're in another company. Come on. Like, it's just ridiculous. So that's more surprising to me, is like hearing all the bullshit of, oh, well, this person was so hard to work with, so that's why they're not in WWE. That's some WWE fanboy, I mean, I don't know if you can get your tongue any further up Vince McMahon's asshole at that point to, you're probably going to taste what he had for lunch today. Like, that's what you're going for, because there's absolutely, I mean, look, would there be heat? Yeah. But these guys are walking around probably pissed off. Like, what are they doing with me? What am I doing here? I'm, they throw away their old gimmicks and characters for some, fucking what a Bearcat, whatever the fuck they call him. If he would have if he would have stuck around and Vince McMahon, how Vince McMahon feels about his body types, I'm surprised they didn't call him fucking Bear Claw. Just to fucking appease the old man. Like, come on, dude, it's ridiculous.
It really is. And before we get to Jovan's take, just for those of you who maybe don't know all the names, I've got the list right up of all the names that were released just on November 4th here. We had Frankie Monet, also known as Taya Valkyrie, had Ember Moon, Scarlett, Oni Lorcan, Karrion Kross, B-Fab from Hit Row, Jesse Kamea, who was part, I believe, of the Robert Stone brand, Zayda Ramir, who was new, Trey Baxter, who I believe was Blake Christian in like Impact and on the Indies, Katrina Cortez, Jeet Rama, Grand Metalico, I know had recently asked for his release, so I'm sure he's probably happy. Lince Dorado, Keith Lee, Nia Jax, Mia Yim, Harry Smith, who never even was on TV after his resigning, and then Eva Marie. I mean, that's what, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, like 18 wrestlers, lost their jobs, and some of them have 30-day non-competes. Some of them have 90-day non-competes and stuff. So, for the that. So it'll be interesting the next couple months to see where some of these talents wind up in. Much like Joey K said, I do feel like some of these talents will have no problem finding work. And that, but hot one. Was there one in particular of these releases here that surprised you the most?
Yeah, the one that WWE should have been able to make a star. Because you look at this person and they're everything that Vince wants. He's Vince McMahon's wet dream. How did they drop the ball on Karrion Kross? Dude, Killer Kross is everything Vince loves. He's a big body muscle dude. He looks the part. Him and Scarlett together are a fantastic duo. Triple H turned him into an awesome, badass gladiator in NXT, and Vince made him a gimp.
He made him a gladiator.
Dude. That was horrible. And some dude online was like, "Oh, well, what is he gonna do with the mask?" He's like, "Nobody wanted that mask, dude."
Yeah, I popped when I saw that.
Come on, man. You can't make these people something they're not. And Killer Kross is a killer. That man, he deserved the spotlight. He deserved to be utilized the right way. And the fact that Vince couldn't do anything with them, it just, dude, it makes me feel like anybody Triple H saw anything in, Vince is getting rid of. Vince is so anti-Triple H right now because they lost to AEW. He's taking back every pet project Triple H had. And now it's like, now look, you learn to kiss the ring, you listen to daddy, and your pets are gone.
Man, I'll tell you what, Thanksgiving at the McMahon household is going to be really interesting this year.
Yeah. Triple H almost dies and Vince throws away his toys.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And it's just, because it really felt like that this was kind of like the end of the official end of the Triple H era in NXT, because if you look at it now, I want to say the only talents that I think that are still in NXT that were, from the Triple H era. I mean, you've got a small handful. I mean, you got Ciampa, you got Gargano, although with the way things are looking, Gargano might be done soon. Kyle O'Reilly, who might be done soon. And then you look at like Dexter Lumis, who I believe was a Triple H signee. Cameron guys. I mean, there are a few out there, but it just seems like the NXT that a lot of us, fell in love with and really saw as a viable third brand. Like it's really, I think it was a reality check that era is dead.
So a quick shot here, quick firing for all of us here. Does this make it to where we may see Triple H leave the company?
It wouldn't surprise me, and I'm going to kind of play off of this, and I would kind of like to get Joey K's take on this, and I think he'll want to explain this kind of little thought that I had. I think I heard this somewhere. I can't remember where, if it was in a chat or on Busted Open Radio or something, but just how ironic would it be if Triple H did leave and he went and bought Ring of Honor and basically hired all the guys that Vince fired? Like Joey K, what would you think about something like that? Because a lot of people thought, compared to Triple H's NXT to basically WWE's version of Ring of Honor. And I'd be kind of interested to get your take on that. Like, do you think that would that be something you would be in favor of?
I like the idea and I don't like the idea. I like the idea because of what you just said, where, it basically be a landing spot for a lot of this talent that came over to NXT. A guy like, Killer Kross, a guy like Keith Lee, absolutely. And I wouldn't be surprised to see, Gargano, Ciampa. I think Kyle O'Reilly's going to AEW. I mean, that's the only logical thing to me. I think you get Red Dragon back together at that point, and that's a whole step for AEW. But I mean, truthfully, yeah, that's good. The problem is bringing in other talent, because let's call it what it is. Triple H will forever be a McMahon now. Triple H will never work for AEW. Triple H will never work for New Japan or any major player. If Triple H is done with WWE, I think he's done and retired. Like that's where it goes. I don't think there's really an end game for him anywhere else. Although I do like your idea because it makes a lot of sense. Especially with what it looks like, a lot of the relationships that he built with a lot of this talent. I mean, that's something that's like, definitely will stand on its own, but bringing in new talent, I mean, look at the Breaking of the Throne entrance from Cody in AEW. That's a direct shot.
Absolutely.
I mean, and we've heard those types of shots and things. Yeah, John Laurinaitis is always the guy who gets called out, and then fucking Nick Khan is the newest guy who gets called out. Kevin Dunn's always a piece of shit, so whatever. There's a lot of these types of guys, but Hunter also has a lot of that on him too. His hands aren't clean.
Right.
Let's be real. His hands aren't clean, and he is a McMahon. So that I think kind of puts the kibosh on any big project he would work on. Not to mention, Jesus Christ, could you imagine Christmas then?
Well, it's just I just think of it because I mean, if I'm Triple H, I'm seeing basically I'm looking at this like all this work that I did to build NXT up to what it was, because when he took over, when he was given NXT, what was official was like 2012, 2013, I think was like when he was officially basically given the keys to run NXT. And that's when he did, started doing like they did the thing with Full Sail, and, then he built the he was, he oversaw the construction and opening of the Performance Center. And it's just a lot of that work down that they do in Orlando. That was all, I think, over, under Hunter's watch and stuff. And it's just, if I'm Hunter, and I'm sitting there, like you said, he just had his issues with his heart and stuff, and hopefully he's doing well. But it's just like I'm seeing basically all the blood, sweat, and tears I put in, and to see it's just there's got to be some kind of tension, in terms of like just between him and him and Vince over. It's because it's like his father-in-law is coming in and just basically. Like, Hunter's got this real nice display of, we'll use the toy reference. He's got all these toys that he's taken like a lot of time in, cultivating his collection, getting the pieces that he wants, and the thought that would make the best presentation possible. And here comes his father-in-law and basically just like, the rumbling, like, when you go through and you're just in a rage and you're just like throwing everything everywhere and just breaking. And it's just like that's gotta be eating away at Hunter. And there's got to be some part of him that's like, okay, and then I'm going to kind of go into this little spin off this next take, and then we'll kind of carry on. But it's like, if he in the back of his mind, he wants to stick it to Vince somehow. Like there's got to be some part of him if that wants to stick it to Vince in some way, shape, or form after letting all these guys go. Because it's like a lot of these guys. I mean, I don't know how many talk with Hunter and stuff, because of with this condition and everything right now. I'm sure he's probably kind of got to stay away, just to avoid the stress or anything. But you look at not only the talents that were just released, but you look back when they had the big release, like when Bronson Reed was let go. And I know that was kind of like one of the ones that and I know Bronson came on recently and was like, he had no idea, like he was like out of left field because, he was working, dark matches, on the main roster, working main event, tapings and stuff, getting ready for that call up, a la, alongside Karrion Kross. Well, no, we'll call him Killer Kross and stuff, but it's gotta be, there's, in my opinion, there's gotta be some part of him that really wants to stick it to Vince. And let me ask you guys this. If Hunter was like in his position still, but say he wasn't married to Stephanie, do you think things would be different? Like, do you think Hunter would be like, you know what, I'm once my contract's up, I'm done and I'm starting my own promotion? Do you think the Stephanie plays some role in him, in like whatever decision he makes?
Yeah, I think that has to. You that line is too blurred between personal and business at that point.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, her maiden last name is McMahon. So I think 100%. And that's probably why you never see anything like that happen. Like I said, when his time's done with WWE, I think he's done with wrestling at that point because there's nowhere else for him to go.
Yeah, I think you hit it kind of there. Had Stephanie not married Hunter, had we not gotten the unholy union between the boss's daughter and the leader of D-Generation X, alternate timeline here. Hunter, number one, doesn't get the position he's in now. He doesn't get the keys to the car. He doesn't get trusted with running the brand. He doesn't get the opportunity to do everything he's done so far. So, on that same token, if by some magical chance he did, and he wasn't relegated to just a, what do they call them, agent? Producers.
Mm-hmm.
If he did get that position without being the boss's son-in-law, we're seeing Triple H's name come across in these cuts. He's going to be the one that takes the fall for the failure. He lost to them, not Vince. Get him out of here. That guy didn't know what he was talking about. I told him it didn't work. He would be the fall guy. He'd be out the business, or at least the WWE.
And it's really tragic too because, he would be like, and this just kind of speaks to, I think, just really how WWE is perceived as a whole, is that when like if NXT, when NXT was doing well, it was like, oh yeah, that was my idea. It's like, oh, it's all because of me, and everybody. But it's like, it's like he's quick to take the brunt of all the glory and the praises, and like he has no problem receiving them. But it's just like he has no problem throwing someone else under the bus for his failures, and I mean, and the thing is that it wasn't the fact that like during the Wednesday Night War that NXT was bad, because it really wasn't. Like NXT week to week was, for the way more often than not, was still a good show and was putting out a great product that the people loved. But it's just that AEW was so different. It was something new. It was something different. It had all the guys that, most of the guys that people wanted to see. And it was kind of like, they're the new kid on the block, the one that everybody's fascinated with, and just, it's unfortunate because I kind of put the blame for this Wednesday Night War. Honestly, I put it on Vince because NXT going from a WWE Network exclusive show to the USA Network was done as a reactionary move to AEW Dynamite.
Yep.
If Vince could have kept his ego in check, because I think it's pretty obvious this was a Vince McMahon call. Like, this wasn't like Hunter, this wasn't Sean, this wasn't it had to be a Vince call. Like, if Vince had just been like, what, let's just let him be or whatever, let him have Wednesday nights, whatever, things would probably be a lot different, because we wouldn't have had this war, because NXT was getting good numbers on the network. People, always reacted very positively to the shows. I know I enjoyed it and stuff, but it's tragic that, ego and, pride and everything ruined a great thing in wrestling that a lot of people liked, and it's just now, I mean, I'm going to go out on record and say, and I know we've talked about this in the past, like one of our early episodes, I still enjoy, I am enjoying NXT 2.0, not as much as I was before, because I feel like it's becoming more like, it's slowly becoming, Monday Night Raw light and everything. And it's just, it's, and there are some good, like, but I get it now though. I think, like, in terms of what NXT is supposed to be, I think this is more in line with, what NXT was always supposed to be. But at the same time, that's not always a good thing, because you look at the ratings they've been pulling now. It's nothing compared to what they were pulling even during the Monday Night Wars. Like, the numbers they're pulling now are, like, on average, about maybe 100 to 200,000 less than what they were pulling, during the Wednesday Night Wars. So it's basically their numbers are low, way down, running unopposed.
Yeah, that's a big thing. That they're unopposed. B, I know you just said, and I'll go on record saying NXT 2.0 is just a pile of dog shit to me. I don't really care for it. I don't like it. I don't get it, because you basically repackaged NXT from 2013, where you would have up and coming, NXT talent mixed in there. And in hindsight, we look back and go, oh, well, yeah, there was a lot of great NXT talent that came up through the ranks. But guess what? Most of them are gone from the company at this point. Okay. 2, the ones that stayed, some of them became huge megastars. But what are they doing on the main roster now? I'll look specifically at somebody like Becky Lynch. I'm not into the new Becky Lynch storyline.
I'm not either.
And
Nope.
you're at the will of somebody who still thinks it's like 1999. I mean, let's be real. That's what it is. NXT 2.0 to me is just there's a reason I don't go to places like the Capitol Wrestling Center or Full Sail. If I want to see indie wrestling, I'll go see actual indie wrestling.
Right.
I don't want to see pretend indie wrestling or WWE wrestling that they're saying, oh, look, it's our indie version. No, the hell it's not. I don't get it. Now
It's basically it's basically AAA WWE.
Yeah, that's what they turned it into, and they kept a couple of names to give some of the fans. Oh, look, Gargano is still there. Yeah, I don't care. I really don't. Ciampa's still there, and honestly, as much as I love Ciampa and Gargano, I don't care. I really don't. They put the NXT title on Ciampa. Okay, cool. And this is nothing, because I think the kid's going to be a star no matter what. But who's his first real challenge is Braun Breaker, a guy who's not even a year into the business. That tells me, like, what are we doing? You have an old veteran champion there just to kind of showcase new talent. And at some point, Ciampa's just going to be like, I'm done, and he'll ride off into the sunset or go somewhere else or whatever he's going to do. But, and the same thing with Gargano. It's like, I don't care about goofy storylines of, how I feel about wrestling weddings already. So, Jesus Christ, do we have to go back into that again?
Don't do it.
But
I still say that was an awesome wedding, but I'm not going to get into it either.
Motherfucker, I swear to God, I swear I will strangle you through this computer. No, seriously though, I don't like the gimmicky bullshit. I don't like the repackaging what they're trying to do. I just can't get on board with it. I'd rather watch AEW, and in fact, AEW has been putting on, in my opinion, I don't give a shit about what the ratings say. It's the superior show. If you're a wrestling fan, it's the superior show, hands down. But number 2 is, man, so this is kind of segueing here. Did you guys see some of the stories about the whole MSK getting booed out of the building thing, and won't use names, but the fucking super fans family who is out there starting shit with fans? And
it apparently it wasn't just them. It was I think was it Lindsay Dorado just recently said something about it, and
he called out the father. He called out the father on Twitter.
Yeah,
said, "Come fucking meet me. Here's where I'm at. I'm not hiding." And then Chelsea Green chimes in.
Yep,
and just reasserts the same statement. And then the MSK shit, and if did I read it correctly? They were talking shit about somebody's deceased father.
Yeah.
and
Well,
that
yeah.
whole thing.
Yeah, and from what I heard about this, and like I if you follow the, if you're on the internet, you're on the news sites, whatever, you probably know who we're referring to, but obviously we're not going to use names and stuff. But the person who kind of, I don't know, want to say inadvertently started all of this with, like, with MSK's criticism or their take. I don't want to say criticism, just their take on this person, beginning, her training, at such an early age. I feel really bad because I've met this person, and she is, at least to me, when I met her, someone who obviously is, very famous, very well known in the wrestling community. Not only, as a super fan, but I mean, she's doing some really good things. I know she just recently got a job with the relaunched, Women of Wrestling promotion. And I mean, way.
Hold on, time out. This thing has nothing to do with her.
Right.
Like,
No,
so let's clear that. Let's clear that up right away. That's why I didn't even want to say her name in general.
And I was going to go into that and say that, like, I feel really bad for her because I feel like she had nothing to do with this, and stuff. So I'm just thinking, but yeah, if it's true, which it sounds like it is, because there's a lot of people coming out about it, that's not, and all of us being parents here, where, we want to, whatever our kids want to do, we as parents should support them no matter what, unless, as long as it's something, they're, good or legal,
Legal.
Like, I'm not
it has to be legal.
Yeah.
I'm not supporting a bank robber.
Yep. But I mean,
or wear a mask at least.
At least wear a mask. Don't freaking MGK all damn day. Then you'll be repping the boys from the E Block.
Fucking shout out Nick Gage. What's up?
But I mean, it's just,
you're right.
Like, if my son wanted to do something, like I said, as long as it makes him happy and as long as it's legal, my wife and I, we're going to support him.
But there's another side. There's another side to that, though, before you go on, because where this stems from is the criticism of somebody in the business, an actual wrestler criticizing a teenage under 18-year-old child, essentially taking bumps in a ring.
So they were talking about Marco Stunt Wrestling?
So all our fans are AEW fans. We'll see you around. Thanks. No, it's true.
They don't like Marco either.
So look, Marco's fucking knee high to a duck, and that's fine. But, like, he's also an adult, and if he's gonna do what he wants, he's gonna do. Like, hey, there's no saying that. I get the side of a professional wrestler being critical of a child, taking bumps and something that could very much alter the course of her entire life.
Yeah.
Now, the parent side is like, well, it's not for me to judge because, I don't want somebody telling me how to be a parent, just like I don't think you guys would either.
Nope.
And no parent really should. But there is an inherent danger in what we talk about. We have a fun show here. We talk about all kinds of things, everything wrestling, and it's something we've all enjoyed for years and years, most of our lives, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we know the inherent danger. We've seen people die in the ring. We've seen people's, lives completely change, paralyzed, injuries,
legs shattered,
everything. So we know that there's a danger with this. So for somebody who is in that business, who lives that danger because that's their chosen profession to be critical, I don't think anybody else in the world could be, but they have that right because that's what they do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now I'll also say, though, that gives no one the right to turn around and shit on that person and turn a crowd on them and chant things allegedly about their deceased father.
Yeah.
Because you don't like what they said about, your daughter taking bumps in a wrestling ring. That crossed the line too. So I mean, who's right, who's wrong in this? If a parent decides to let their child do something and they feel it's safe and that's something their child wants to do and they do everything they can to protect them, cool. But the flip of that is there should be critics of that. And there's going to be, especially from the people who have suffered injuries because of those types of things.
And who have been doing this. And I mean,
yeah, exactly.
And I don't think that it was said to be malicious or hurtful.
No.
To me, it's that just strikes me as something being said out of concern for the well-being of this kid.
I agree.
I mean, it's not ballet. Don't they say it all the time?
Yeah.
This is wrestling. This ain't ballet.
Don't try this at home.
Don't try this at home, dude. If you're not supposed to try this at home, it's because you have to be trained. There are inherent risks. You have people who do this for a living who still get hurt. People break necks. People die. This is not, just something you see and like, oh, I want to go do that. I want to go do this. If you have a professional in the realm telling you, hey, you beat the shit out of your body when you pursue this. Maybe let your body grow all the way first before you take damage to it that it may not repair from. Yeah. Or maybe, hey, fully grow into your body before you do something that will stunt your growth. Mm-hmm. Or, this kind of trauma is not good for you right now. Why are they getting torn down? The same people tearing them down for doing this, hey, maybe not be a good idea for you to have your daughter do this, are the same parents who let their kids play football and then are up in arms when CTE stuff's come out and everybody's all riled up. Well, nobody told us. It doesn't matter. We could tell you, but you're not going to care because you're going to do what you want to do. And at the end of the day, that's what we all have is free will. You do what you want to do. Right. We can only just try to be like, hey, not a good idea.
Right. And it's just, it's sad because, MSK, they're uber talented. I mean, those guys, like from their days, being with Trey Miguel and the Rascals and Impact, I mean, those guys can go. And it's a shame that because something was said, an opinion was stated, it's like, who knows if these guys will be able to kind of get their careers back on track.
Yeah.
And I mean, and I think they can, but I mean, it is as much as it pains me to say this, it's like they may be able to get their careers back on track, but it may have to be with another company because, because of the influence that, these super fans, and for those of you listening to this on, Apple, Spotify, basically not watching this on YouTube, I just did the air quotes there because it's not fair because again, these guys are in their 20s, like you said. I think it was who was it? It was there used to be Wentz. I can't think of what his name goes by now. He was the one that lost his father, right?
I believe so. I think so.
And just to me, as someone who, I lost my father almost 2.5 years ago. If I were in a profession or doing something and I heard someone saying, oh, you should taunt him about his dead father, that would not only like make me livid and just have me pissed off to the nth degree, that would also be really hurtful because I'm sure as much as, like I said, my dad was such a big part of my life, much like I'm sure, Wentz's dad was a part of his life. And from what I've heard, that's the case. And it's just for someone to just because of one thing I said to dig that low, to kind of hurl that kind of stuff at me. It's just, it kind of makes you think just what is going on with humanity in general?
People are garbage. The IWC is garbage. We said it here plenty of times.
Entitled wrestling fans.
We're toxic. But gentlemen, I want to wrap this up and let's move to a different option, a different little discussion area because we need to bring the volume and speed and happiness back to all of our show today. So let's wrap it up with this, gentlemen. This whole thing just reminds me of a joke I heard a long time ago. And the joke goes, you can get a good look at a T-bone steak by putting your head up a bull's ass, but wouldn't you rather just trust the butcher?
Exactly.
And you know what? Since we're gonna since we like to do random things that make people laugh.
Yes.
Cool. We just shot our shit right there.
We just charted our shit. All right.
Courtesy of Joey K. That was a real one, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. So we've gotten the whole release thing, you know, all that. Real quick, one last thing on that. Take one out of all the talent that was just released, pick one wrestler, and where do you think he should go? You know what? I'm gonna start out.
Hit it.
We're gonna just do a 1-round draft here. We're not gonna this isn't gonna spawn off into another special because we don't have that deep of a roster to play with. Which, by the way, if you haven't listened to it, man, go back and listen to our bonus episode that dropped a couple of days ago where we drafted the Ring of Honor roster. That was probably one of the more fun things I've done with these two guys here. But going back to the talent that was just recently released, Keith Lee would become a god if he goes to New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Like I just think that like he could go, you know, back on the indies, you know, PWG, wherever. And he's probably, and a lot of these guys are going to be going on the indies and probably making a good living for themselves, and more power to them. But just, could you imagine someone like Keith Lee who can do what he does? Like, yeah, you know, Jeff Cobb is finally getting some respect thrown his way. Obviously, he came up short in the G1, but he tore through that field, and he
almost made history. So I'm good with him losing. He almost made history.
Yeah, and he's going to make history. But just, could you imagine Keith Lee in New Japan? Like, just, dude would be a god there. And I just think if that would be, like, if I were Keith Lee, that's where I'd want to go.
It's a good one.
What about you, gents?
Javon?
All right, man. Let's see. I don't want to take yours, or maybe I do since you did it to me last time. Go listen to our draft.
You won't take mine. I know you won't. Go ahead.
But give me Ember Moon, and I want her in the Knockouts division. It's already
I love that.
It's a stacked division. Ember can go. It'll give you a good mix-up. Somebody else legitimate that's a title contender. Give me some Ember Moon to Impact, baby.
I love that. That is a great one.
And I'll round out my pick with Eva Marie anywhere that does not have a fucking wrestling ring in it.
Eva Marie to OnlyFans confirmed.
I don't give a shit if she's OnlyFans, 3 fans, or fucking ceiling fan. I don't want to see her ever wrestle in another wrestling ring. She just doesn't have it. She doesn't work. She looks like she's somebody who doesn't put the time in to do it. She's brought in obviously just for a name and a face. That was the whole reason for this re-signing anyway. I don't want to hear her talk on a microphone. Yeah, that's about it. That's my pick. Anywhere that does not involve professional wrestling, because I can just avoid that shit anywhere.
All right.
So now that we've gotten the not so good stuff out of the way, let's talk about some good things that happened this weekend. I think the highlight or the best thing that happened in professional wrestling this past week had to have been that face-off between Eddie Kingston and CM Punk on Rampage. I mean, oh my God, just, if that's about as real as it gets, because it felt like it definitely didn't seem like this was scripted at all. This were just like, all right, this is what Tony Khan just told these two guys, just this is how you come out. This is what you need to accomplish. And I think not only did they do that, they hit a grand slam with this. I mean, that couldn't have gone any better. And I'll be honest with you, a lot of hype is going into, you know, Hangman Page possibly, you know, beating Kenny Omega for the title next Saturday night. But after that promo, I don't think there's any match I'm more excited about for Full Gear than Punk versus Kingston. And I mean,
I'm jumping in here, Joey K, because I know you're gonna suck, you know, the CM Punk out of Punk. So Let me get in before you go onto your rose-colored glasses. But, dude, and it's like DDJ was saying, I feel like Tony Khan may have just went to these two and said, hey, go sell this matchup. Go do what you do. Go sell this matchup. And I'll be hard-pressed for anybody that's not a big CM Punk fan to tell me when Eddie Kingston looks you in the eye and says, we don't want you here, but nobody else in the back has the balls to tell you this.
Mhm.
Get out of here, man. And I mean, it's the truth. He's telling somebody who wasn't his idol, kind of gave me the feelings of what everybody wished they could have told Hulk Hogan when he was still rolling over people in his 50s.
Yep.
Like, why are you here? You're not helping anybody. You can't go the way you used to. I'm sorry, Joey K. I know he's your favorite wrestler, but he's missing a small step that he used to have. But Eddie Kingston brings it. And the match he just had with Bryan Danielson, freaking barn burner.
Yep.
There's no way in my mind that I'm saying Eddie Kingston should lose to CM Punk. He shouldn't lose to Punk right now.
Well, let me shoot in with a little bit of a hot take here before we let Joey K speak on this. I've been thinking about this, and this might get me some heat with you guys. And I know my buddy, my fellow horseman Sean Thomas lives down, sitting at home, hopefully watching this or listening to us. To me, is there anyone like currently going in the business right now that kind of is like this era's Dusty Rhodes, if other than Eddie Kingston?
No. Eddie talks for the people, just the way Dusty did.
Like, I think I'm going to go out and say it. I think Eddie Kingston is this era's Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah.
Because you think about it, he's a man of the people. He's to steal a line from Dusty's WWE theme, he is a common man. Yeah. And it feels like he's real. Like, dude, when he talks, it's real.
He even said it in the promo. He hit a Dusty classic line. It may have been because of my hiney was a little too big.
Yep.
Come on, man.
Yep.
Of course.
So, all right, Joey K.
Well, you guys need to go back and listen to the show as well. Because I've been telling you week in and week out that CM Punk is doing something different. Not everybody's going to like it and enjoy it. Not everybody's going to get on board with it until it finally gets to that boiling point and hits its stride. And that's what we're looking at. I watch wrestling every week. I watch various shows and promotions. Nobody's wrestling like CM Punk right now. Nobody. And if anybody thinks that's because he lost a step or whatever, and that it's not on purpose, you're crazy. I'm telling you right now, you're crazy. I think everything he does is deliberate. And that's that's a straight shoot on his entire career.
Oh, everything and I agree with
he has done. Yeah.
I agree with you on Punk since he's been back. I like, and everything I'm saying about Kingston in this thing is in no way, and I want the records to show that it's no way bashing what Punk has done since he's been back, because what Punk has been doing since he's been back, and we talked about this, when he came back in terms about like, great comebacks. We talked about Edge, and what he's done since he's been back. We've also mentioned Christian Cage, what he's been doing since he's been back. Like, in no way, shape, or form are we trashing or demeaning or like dampening what Punk has done since he's been back. I have a feeling, I feel like people were expecting a lot more, but much like you just said, Joey K, I like what he's done because I feel like he's trying to bring that storytelling aspect to his matches and stuff. And I just think that, again, in AEW, that's kind of something that that's kind of maybe a little bit, I don't want to say completely a lost art, but it seems like it sometimes isn't the focus of, a lot of the matches that you see. I just kind of wanted to throw that in there, but carry on.
No, you're right. And I think, he's already said it. He said it publicly. He says he alludes to things in his interviews, in his promos. He's alluded to that there's more to this than what the casual fans are getting, or just the fans who look at it at face value. If you're looking at Punk at face value, go back through his career, you can never look at CM Punk at face value. There's always something deeper. There's always an angle to it. There's always a story to it. Everything he does is deliberate. He didn't wrestle in a major promotion for 7 years. That was deliberate. Okay. There's a lot going on with that. And you guys should know this too. Eddie Kingston's one of my top 5 favorites in AEW currently, and he has been since he showed up that night and challenged Cody for the TNT title. I love Eddie Kingston. Kingston's had some really great matches. I'm happy they got him away, not for the reason why, but I'm happy that he is away from Moxley for the time being, letting him do his own thing instead of playing second fiddle to Moxley, which is, it's an unfortunate circumstance of why.
I was going to say, shout out to Moxley for doing the right thing by not only AEW, but more importantly, his wife and his daughter, going to seek help, and
of course,
and just to kind of throw a few roses Punk's way, that promo he cut on Dynamite, that basically was kind of like his way or their way of, explaining, Mox's absence on TV was very well done and was very touching. And, Matt, props to Punk for cutting that promo, and props to TK for, basically being, not trying to sugarcoat it. He put out the tweet saying, Mox allowed me to share this and everything. And it's I'm going to save this little take for later, but it kind of goes into my take about how Tony Khan sees AEW versus how Vince McMahon sees, the WWE brand. But I'm sorry, I don't mean to keep interrupting you and stuff. But it's just you're giving all these great takes, and it's just making me say these things, think of these things, and I have to get them out because otherwise my I'll forget because I'm getting old. So
all right, no problem. I'll give shittier takes so I can get through them. Just no problem. We'll go.
Shots on the show.
No,
with the Mox situation, real quick, man. Right before you get through there, if you guys haven't read or at least started the book Mox, it's amazing. It's a great read. But I want to point to something in the damn prologue of the book. So in the prologue of the book, you kind of see Mox fighting with himself about who does he say is writing this book. Is it John Moxley? Is it Jonathan Good? He's kind of having this internal fight on paper. So he goes here. So what am I? I'm too many things. I'm an athlete, entertainer, storyteller, yes. But I'm also a socially challenged, borderline alcoholic, mildly sadomastic, head case, poor kid, juvenile delinquent, brother, son, and friend. Reading those words, when he specifically comes out and says, maybe mildly an alcoholic, and then knowing, boom, he goes into outpatient care or inpatient care for this, addiction issue. It just kind of places you that he was aware of it. He's always had a handle on it. He kind of knew, he placed it on himself, but to take that next step to say, okay, it's time to get some help. That's the biggest thing in the world, guys. That's what I'll leave with Mox. Go get the book. It's great. Joey K.
Okay, back to Eddie Kingston. This is why we're glad he's away from Moxley, because he takes up the combo. No, in all seriousness, I agree with you guys. The thing with Mox is really tough, and I'm glad he's getting help. I think Punk was the right person to do it, especially for the person who's been the straight edge, the straight edge superstar for years and years and years. I think that's really big for somebody. There's a lot of people who are straight. I know a lot of people who are straight edge, and some of them do look down. Oh, you have a problem, and it's nice to see somebody who is so well known to be the person who's like, praise him for getting help he needs. And that's a big thing. So I appreciate that even more. With Kingston though, going back to Kingston, I like Kingston on his own. he doesn't need to, partner up with Mox here and there, but I like him on his own. And he's had some really, really great matches. The stuff he did with Miro, fantastic. The match he had with Danielson, fantastic. He's getting his chance to shine. And I think, are there two guys more suited in AEW for the realism of a feud than Kingston and Punk? And I mentioned this to you guys earlier, and my take on it was this. Again, and I walk a fine line because I don't want to shit on fans who are newer fans who don't, or, oh, I'm just a new fan of AEW, and that's all cool and great, but this is why you got to kind of like go back and like learn your history a little bit. I saw a lot of people on Twitter shitting on this whole Kingston Punk thing when Kingston kind of broke into the backstage interview, and they're like, oh, we're going to get Kingston and Punk. There's no story. That's ridiculous. Those are two guys who don't need a story. You got your story just the other night. You got your story in a 10-minute segment, and that's all I need. And I'm sold 100% in on it. I don't need a 2 or 3 month build up to some blow off match. I need two guys who are real as shit that'll get in there and that'll say what they're going to say, and they blur those lines of reality and make believe. And that's what you have.
And I think it just speaks to how talented these two guys are, that they basically within like a week and a half went from not having something to do to having probably what is turning out to be one of, if not the most hotly anticipated matches on the Full Gear card. And I think that just speaks volumes to how talented these guys are. And yeah, I really like your take there on about like learning your history and stuff. And guy, to anybody that listens to this show, if you're young, if you're a youngin, anybody compared to me is pretty much a youngin, but I mean, if you're a youngin, if you're just getting into wrestling or, just getting into AEW and you're not sure who some of these people are and you have questions or whatever, guys, if you're watching this show, you see our on YouTube, you see our socials. We put them in our every episode description, wherever you get your podcast from. Reach out to us, man, and we can point you into a direction and kind of get you going, helping you find your way and stuff and that. So and such. But because I mean, for those that say that there was no story, just that backstage segment alone where, Punk was going to do the interview and then you heard Kingston. That's the kind of stuff that like started feuds in like the 80s.
Yep.
Before you even go on, now I actually get to finish my point because you just brought it up. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
This is classic stuff happening, and I'm all for it. I know, Jovan, you're like really like, oh, Punk's lost his step, he's this and that. This is all for what we're building on. This little mini feud with Kingston, it's what we're building for. And if anyone doubts why these two, especially like, getting up there in age, oh, why is AEW bringing in older talent and they're not pushing the younger guys? Because this is what the younger guys need to learn.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need them. I don't need every new AEW star to come in and learn a 450. I don't need every AEW star to come in and do the craziest shit diving out of the ring and shortening their career and possibly lifespan. What I need them to learn is this kind of shit. Yep. You don't need 3 months of flips and dives and bullshit. You need two guys who are great on the mic, who blur that line and know how to tell a fucking story. And that's what you have in 10 days time. Like
all right,
in
Boomer. Now listen
10
up.
days. Here
Hold
we go.
on.
What the fuck?
I'm
never going to finish. It's okay.
All I'm saying.
I'm fucking Taylor Swift. You're Kanye West. Both of you. You fucks.
I'm going to let you finish. Let's not get it a little mixed up here because I feel like it's been over 30 minutes since I got my point out. But yes, I feel like Punk has lost a step. I know you're saying it's deliberate. I understand that. I know that he probably has a high work rate. He was doing MMA, so he's probably not that out of shape. He just looks like it outside of his pants. But but
we may have a new soundbite for Jovan's intro in our video there.
Yeah, we do. That's getting isolated.
that's nice.
Let me note the timestamp on that.
It's 5 hours in the show. But anyways, like I was
You want me to
saying,
bring back the SpongeBob time cards?
For yourself, sir? Yeah, that would be fantastic.
But like I was saying, guys, and my whole point was not to go down on Punk. I'm a big Punk fan. I'm not trying to down him.
I don't think anybody wants to see you go down on Punk, buddy. I don't think Punk wants to see you go down on Punk either. Hey, he said it.
Trying to down Punk, excuse me. But my point is Eddie Kingston doesn't need to take the Punk rub. Okay. That's my whole thing is I don't think he needs to, be one of those who Punk is finally, unless Punk comes out and has the showing looking like it's 2007 again, Eddie Kingston shouldn't take that L. That's the only thing I'm saying. Go ahead, Joey K.
Fair point. I get you on that. I think he still takes the L though, but not for those reasons.
He's taking the L. He's taking the L because
but it's not for the Punk rub though either though. There's a difference of seeing a young guy, getting that rub as opposed there's a difference between Darby Allin and Eddie Kingston. Darby getting that rub is a big thing. Kingston though, and you guys both said it, Kingston is a whole different animal. He's a whole different thing here. And him taking the L to me is not about getting the Punk rub. It's more about building Eddie to where Eddie wants to go. And especially with the absence of Moxley. And, you kind of got that feeling well, shit, what's Eddie going to do now? Because they were right in the middle of some shit, running this tag team thing. I think that's him taking the L as a stepping stone for Eddie moving on to we're gonna get LAX Eddie. We're gonna get that version, and this is the way to go for that. It gives Punk something, it gives Eddie something good. I think everybody wins on that, whether Punk takes the win or not. And if he and I shouldn't say even if, but if he does take the win,
when he gets the win, go ahead.
When he gets the win, I think you're going to start to see Punk push more in the agenda that I think is coming, and I think that's going to change some more opinions.
We made it through a topic. Fantastic.
Now, do you guys, before we move on, do you see this match ending with a handshake or something?
It needs to end with a hug. It needs to end with a lot of respect. I need a lot of respect after this one.
Do you think we get that?
I don't think we do. I think we get a very minimal showing of respect, but based on what was already said on Rampage the other night to each other, based on how I think the match will kind of play out a little bit, I think the bare minimum of respect is going to be less is more. That's what I'll say. Less is more.
Okay.
You'll get that small amount, but you're going to know it's there, and it's going to be very deliberate.
Hold on.
Go on.
Who was it that just got this nod after a match at AEW? It was just like a nod, barely was yeah, that was good. Oh, damn it, I can't remember who it was. Somebody just got massive respect, and they just got a nod, and that was it.
I'm trying to think. I'm picturing it, or I'm envisioning it. Excuse me. One thing I do, while we kind of try to see if we can figure out who that was and stuff. One other thing that really stuck with me from AEW was the promo that Malachi Black cut on Wednesday, where he was talking. I think his promo was directed at Tony Khan and talking about how he was barred from the match.
It was Black,
huh?
It was Malachi Black.
Oh, yeah, that was with him and Dante Martin.
There you go.
That's who it was.
That's right. I do. I remember that now.
Yeah, I do too.
I was trying to place it in my head, but now that you said
But-
it, yeah, that's.
But kind of going back to Malachi Black's promo about being, barred from ringside by Tony Khan, he alluded to that, and I love the line he used with like Caesar, that it wasn't just, I think it was Brutus that betrayed him, but that there's more. So it kind of almost feels like there's gonna be I think this is going to be an interesting time for AEW coming about with this potential black cloud that's going to be hanging over the organization. You know what I mean? Yeah, I know Black Cloud, Malachi Black. Nobody laughed, but Javante. There we go. We got a laugh there. It's probably more at my expense, but
No sell it, no sell it, no sell it, no sell it, no sell it.
yeah, way to no sell, guys.
Terry Reynolds, don't sell it.
Don't sell
it.
Don't sell it.
But I mean, Malachi Black is just, again, a classic case of how did the WWE screw this up so badly. And I'm interested to see where this goes. Could this mean there's like some faction that's possibly going to be trying, that maybe Black's working with Andrade and possibly FTR, maybe, that they're going to try to take over, AEW or whatever. But I mean, what do you think about that promo that Black cut on Dynamite?
I loved it. I thought it was great. I think it's great too if the rumor's true that Brody King's coming to AEW eventually, because you have PWG.
Aren't they the tag champs?
Yeah, they work amazing. They're two guys that just get along really great. They work really great together. I think you have like endless opportunities here, and now you're going to see the difference because WWE is. How many times has WWE do something like this in the past, and it just fizzles out to nothing? And AEW really has an opportunity to knock it out of the park with, with the character of Malachi Black and having this just evil presence in AEW. I think it's awesome. And if we're talking promos here, I'm just going to throw one other one out there. I tweeted this out, and I think I messaged you guys too on Friday night, that Max Caster is a fucking national treasure. That guy,
yes.
I don't give a shit if he has to get everything approved by Tony Khan anymore or not. When he came out and dropped that father-in-law line on Bryan Danielson to start the show, holy shit.
Yep.
Like especially in the wake of all the fucking, cuts this past week.
Yep.
Oh my God. He just knows. He gets it. He gets it. He knows how to get that crowd to just, that was just a harsh one. And then they cut to Danielson's face, his facial expression, and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
and poor, and poor Bowen's like, damn it, you're just gonna get my ass beat again. Because what was he dropped a line like that on Moxley?
Yep.
When the acclaim
about Renee's podcast,
oral sessions,
some oral sessions, and Bowens got knocked.
Oh my God, he almost got kicked through the ropes. It was ridiculous.
Yep.
So I feel for Bowen because Caster's just gonna get his ass beat every.
But Bowens had a great match in that match, though. He looked really good.
They both look good. To be honest with you, they both look good. But like they have the whole package there, and that's, to me, that's a big thing. You're getting some fire coming to the ring, and you're gonna have a really good match out of it too. I think, did we talked about this in the group chat? Man, Rampage is just getting better and better.
Last 2 weeks of Rampage have been amazing.
It's a shit time slot. Let's call it what it is. Friday night at 10 o'clock is a dog shit time slot. Nobody wants to do that, but they're taking it and they're putting some great content on it. Oh my God, it's fantastic. Like I've been getting more into it every week, dude. It's becoming
the main event this week. Freaking amazing.
Yep,
such a great match. Johnny Hungy lit it up with Adam Cole.
Yeah,
I shit on the Dark Order all the time. I know I do. Like, and I'm not a fan of the Dark Order and that whole nonsense, but damn, that was a great match. That was a really great match. And here we
What does everybody want?
Gimps.
no, everybody want Budge.
Oh my
Budge.
god.
That was good.
And you know, like too, it's something that's hard. Like, yeah, you got Adam Cole as such a star, but he still works the match. There's a couple things in that match I didn't like overall, but I mean, they were small parts of the whole. But overall, I thought it was a really, really great match.
What did you like?
And one of the things that, and I know
I'll tell you, I didn't like. And this is not just them. This is professional wrestling in 2021. Don't hit like 3 big power moves just for your opponent to get up and no sell shit. I hate that. I really do. That might be the Jim Cornette of me coming out. I don't really give a shit. I really do hate it. Johnny Hungy hit like there was a sequence where he hit a few big kicks, some
Into
great
the bomb.
power. Yeah, and then Adam Cole just pops up like nothing fucking happened. And I was like, wait, what? And they did that. I think it was twice in that match. There was 2 sequences like that. That's just the one I can remember. Man, that just it gets under my skin. It takes me out of it because I'm like, come on, it's ridiculous, but
and
it is what it is.
And you talk about Rampage, and one of the things that I know I said on the show, as well as in our our chat, our show chat, is to me one of the things I love about Rampage is that that hour flies by so quickly.
Yeah,
Yep.
it does.
And it's because it's so good. Like you're not paying attention to the clock. You're just so engrossed into the action, and they don't try to cram too much in. Like they usually have 3, sometimes maybe 4 matches in. And one of the things I've also said, and I think that's great. Like it's perfect. One of the things that I really like about Rampage, and I've told you guys this, I've actually had the chance to tell the person I'm going to reference this in person, but the interviews that Mark Henry does with the guys who are participating in the main event, like every week, I love that because that is like I feel like it's a throwback to the days when me and Gene Okerlund would be like, getting ready to interview the guys before, the main event of the show, like to really hype it up. And he always ends it with, it's time for the main event. And when I met Mark Henry at the Busted Open party the night before All Out, I told him that, and he was really appreciative of that.
Dude, I'm laughing hysterically. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'm laughing hysterically because all I have in my head is that pre-match interview with Abaddon and Britt Baker. And I laughed so hard out loud. Like I just couldn't stop because Mark Henry just absolute deer in headlights look straight, like just,
yep.
Well, Abaddon looks like she has nothing further to say. I don't know if it was supposed to be like that, unintentional comedy, but man, that was the funniest shit I've seen in a long time.
I know you listen. You're a frequent listener of Busted Open. I don't know about you, Jovan, but whenever Mark Henry's on, he always talks about how he hates scary movies. He hates horror stuff. He does not like this. So I almost kind of I like, and when I saw the blood dripping, I just
she
like,
spit the blood
and I
out.
saw his reaction. I'm like, oh my god, that is so perfect.
And all she did when he asked her a question, all she did was growl.
Yeah,
and like his facials were. I mean, that was priceless. I saved it on my DVR to watch it for a good laugh. Like it's still on.
I'm sure
there.
it's on YouTube too.
Oh man, that was priceless.
Gentlemen, we have reached the time. This is your official Blue Chew Wrap It Up. Blue Chew it and do it. Wrap it up. Last thoughts. Let's go so we can let the people go home.
Well, just again, to all the guys and gals who lost their jobs this past week. Hope from I can speak. I think I can speak on your the behalf of both you gentlemen. All the best. Of you in the future. I'm not going to use the WWE line and stuff, but again, I hope to those of you, this isn't the end of this isn't the end. This is just the beginning, because a lot of you guys are men and women are going to be on to much bigger and better things. And I want to go back to something I alluded to a little earlier when I talked about a take I wanted to give on how Tony Khan views AEW versus how Vince McMahon views the WWE brand. I feel like if one thing is like if I've kind of learned or like gained or just come up with this thought, like the developments over the last few days have really shown me to think that Tony Khan thinks of AEW as like a wrestling company, like a family, because of the way he is with the all the talent, the way everybody says with him and stuff. I mean, the stuff he did with in regards to dropping the news about Mox and everything. It's like he truly loves the company. He truly loves what he does, and it's the wrestling fan inside of him that's really kind of allows that to happen. So I feel like Tony Khan views AEW as like a company or a family. But to me, if anything, what the news of the WWE releases followed by what they announced, what their profits were and stuff, to me, Vince McMahon looks at WWE as like a corporation. He doesn't look at it as a company. He basically looks at it how I'm sure Jeff Bezos looks at Amazon. Just how these CEOs look at their companies. It's like, how can I make money? It's like, okay, I'm gonna send a few guys, I'm gonna fire a few guys, and say budget cuts, but then like the next day I'm gonna report $250 million profits in the third quarter. It's just like the way that the WWE is presented. You'll never see anyone achieve the success and status of like say Hulk Hogan or The Rock or Stone Cold or The Undertaker. Like not one person will ever be bigger than the brand, which is a huge mistake. And I feel like the exact opposite, like for Tony Khan, like he wants to put the best guys out in the best positions to help them succeed. And it's so about as 180 or as polar opposite as you can get, when it comes to how these two men view their companies. And I just wanted to make sure I got that out there before we called it a night.
Joey K, what you say?
My final thoughts: fuck budget cuts. That's bullshit. CM Punk's going to be the biggest heel in all of pro wrestling in 365 days time. Suck it, Jovan. Continuing on, I'm excited for Full Gear this weekend. Kenny Omega will still be the champ despite everybody crying and pouting otherwise.
They saved that title switch for when they're in Norfolk.
I don't give a shit when they save it for, but it's way too early to take it off Kenny. They could go anywhere. They could put it in fucking Butte, Montana for all I care. It's not the right time. It's not the right time, and Hangman's not the guy yet. Now, will be, but not yet.
Now, quickly before Jovan gives his last few thoughts, do you think whoever wins the match between Danielson and Miro, like, do you think that kind of foreshadows who wins the World Heavyweight Championship match? Because
if Miro goes over Danielson, I'm gonna fucking Elvis my TV and just put a round through it on Saturday night. I'm telling you.
You better get that on video because I want to see that.
Well, I'll have to keep my phone because it'll be the only way I can watch anything afterwards. No, I think for real that Danielson's gonna go over. They are, like we've talked about it. We had the 30-minute time limit draw. There's logical next steps to it, and now if he's the new contender, that's what we're gonna get. I honestly don't want to see Hangman versus Danielson. Not at this point.
No.
So I think Kenny's the choice. I think Danielson's the choice. And that's going to build up for the next couple months. You got a lot of work there.
Do you think Danielson and Kenny Omega main event Revolution?
Probably.
Okay.
I mean, I don't see that they have to, like, because they have enough time to build. When's Revolution? February?
End of February, beginning of March.
Oh yeah. They got that. That's easy going to be the main event there.
Mhm.
And you're gonna get a 60-minute. You might get an Iron Man, but you're gonna get a 60-minute match out of it. And they'll probably go, if it's not an Iron Man, they'll go probably 45, 50 minutes.
I'd agree with that.
That'll close out the show, and it'll be a great match, for fans like us, for sure.
Yeah. Hot one, take us home. And he's muted.
This
We
fucking
had
guy's
some-
muted again. Here we go.
Well, I had to mute myself so I didn't DDJ West you. I wanted to let you guys get out your full thoughts without, having you turn into.
You know what? I'm
Swift.
gonna DDJ West you right now and quote Joey K from a few minutes ago and saying, "Suck it, Jovan." Carry on.
Anyways, what I was gonna say is right now, it's a good time to be a wrestling fan. We always say it, but honestly, guys, it's the truth. We gave you something today that's different than what we normally do. We kind of free-formed it. We went out there and talked about things that, were important to us, things that are happening right now in the industry. Not to steal a quote from AEW, but there is a legitimate paradigm shift that's happened in the world of wrestling. We see people who you would never, ever think of being cut from their shows being cut, a la Nia Jax with the Bloodline to Becker never getting released. You have people who are mega stars saying, maybe it's not worth it being in the biggest sandbox anymore. Maybe I want to go play with my friends in the smaller venues.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it leads to them being into the bigger venues one day, which I do believe it's time for AEW to start booking some of these bigger venues.
They've proven they can do it.
They can.
United Center.
They've showed that they're able to book these good places. They've showed that even in the arenas where they share, like WWE's there and AEW's there, they're outselling WWE ticket-wise. Give your fans what you want, AEW. Go to the bigger venues. Bring more fucking merch for the love of God.
Sweet Jesus.
More merch
please.
stands.
Yes, more merch stands.
Like, we willingly want to give you more fucking money.
We're trying.
Please accept it. Like,
Yes.
come on.
Final thoughts. I mean, guys, we always put over AEW. WWE, it becomes harder and harder to put over things that they're doing. For God's sakes, they just released the Survivor Series lineups on fucking Twitter. So take with that what you will.
Oh, Jesus, I didn't even look at that.
Yeah.
But I'm going to leave y'all with the words of Tony Khan. Watch your wrestling. Whatever it is, watch your wrestling. For me, it's AEW. I'll watch every week. Impact, I watch every week. WWE is DVR'd. MLW, I'll catch it when I can. GCW, I love it. So, guys, at the end of the day, just watch your wrestling.
Hey, yeah, and don't, if somebody out there doesn't share your opinion or doesn't agree with you on something, don't sit there and shit on them or bash them about it. Don't make them feel bad for liking something different than you do. Just, different strokes for different folks, and kind of piggybacking off what, Javon said about it being a great time to be a wrestling fan. I've said that many times and stuff. There's literally something out there for everybody, and this is the time where we as a community, we need to come together instead of spread ourselves apart or just go apart. Let's help each other. Let's not hurt each other. Come on, everybody, give peace a chance.
I'm looking at the Survivor Series teams. What the absolute fuck? What?
That's for next week, my friend. We are out.
I don't even want to fucking talk. I'm going on vacation. I'm pulling a fucking Roman Reigns. I'll be on vacation next week, so I don't have to talk about it.
The only difference between you going on vacation for a week and Roman Reigns going on vacation for a week is our show is not going to suck with Joey K being gone.
Oh,
wow.
Take us
also, no PEDs involved. So there's that too. Oh, the little known suspension.
Alrighty then, and on that note, ladies and gentlemen, this is Becky Shit. Do not forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Follow the show on Twitter at SHOOTINSHT, and thanks for listening.